All right. Okay. Okay. So I want to do the best that I can, like I was saying before, trying to circumvent any confusion and make sure I'm getting it's not no false narratives being put out. So for anybody who may not be aware of, oh man, this car loud as hell. Man, this car loud as hell. What's good? What's good, bro? How you feeling? Nah, for sure, for sure. Oh yeah, I had to pop up real quick, real quick. Uh, for anybody who may not be aware, okay, so last spring and last summer, during City Market, there were protests that went on. The protests that went on were to bring awareness to the police terroristic actions that took place on May 30th outside of District 1. The protest at City Market was to bring awareness to the people who were facing criminal charges and had false allegations put on them from the city from May 30th to what's up, Brent? From May 30th, 2020. So again, these city market protests didn't take place because people had issues directly with city market. The city market protests didn't take place because people had a desire to destroy small businesses or to destroy city market or anything of that sense. The first time that the May 30th Alliance went to a city market protest, it was just two people. We went with a microphone and a speaker. We weren't in any the placement which we were at was not disrupting anybody from going to vendors or getting drinks or listening to the music. We were out of can't think of the exact street at the moment, but we were removed from being in the center. We were not blocking any area or anything like that. That was the very first time that we went. The very first time that we went, just two people, Kathy McDermott, the person who I believe Tom McNamara just celebrated. I can't remember who said what, but the person that was just celebrated on that press conference about City Market, Kathy McDermott, the first interactions that I had with her on this first time we went to City Market, the first things that she was speaking about was money. She was talking about how important trying to make as much money was for City Market because of what was going on with COVID, and she was speaking about how we could go 2 blocks over away from City Market, and that's where we could go to speak this message, but that she felt that people would be less will be decentivized from attending City Market and purchasing things at City Market. So her whole reaction was just money. It was not any question about what was going on. There was no questioning about the issues. So I asked her if she knew about what took place on May 30th. She said that she didn't. I explained to her that police officers, both from the Rockford Police Department and the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies, assaulted people, falsely arrested people, pepper sprayed people, tased people, stumped people, kicked people, and that there was a lack of awareness about these things taking place in the city of Rockford, and that we were going to, this was last year, we were going to all the places in which there were going to be big masses of people to try to get the message across that these things had happened, because there was no other medium in which we could do that. And this nation, this country is built on protesting. Anything that has the majority of shifts in society and shifts in cultures and shifts in this nation have taken place from mass movements being put together, from the mobilizing and organizing of people who deal with the issues that need to be altered. And so we were using we were using the same devices that generations before us had used, and that was protesting. And again, that week, all we had, it was only two people, a mic and a speaker. Kathy McDermott was, only thing she cared about was money. She had before she came over, she sent a secure, off-duty cop over who basically pushed me, who grabbed me, pushed me, whatever, and was continuously turning off the speaker over and over again. As I'm trying to turn it back on, he continues to turn it off, not giving any true policy or any law that was being broken or any proof that he had the authority to touch me or my property, or even to tell us that we couldn't be there. But that's neither here nor. And again, all of these things are documented. This is not if anybody has never been to the We Demand Facebook page, go to the We Demand Facebook page, We Demand YouTube page, and there's videos of documented videos of the ongoings of City Market, you can go to the May 30th Alliance Facebook, Twitter, YouTube page and go through and you can find documented videos and photos of the things that took place last year at City Market. Because I don't want people to think that these are things that I'm just saying and that there's no substantiated proof or no factual. If all right, thank you. Have a good day. And there's no factual information behind these things. So that was the very first City Market that we went to. So we left that City Market. I told Kathy McDermott that we would be back next week with more people. We left. We came back the next week with more people. When we came back, Kathy McDermott had I don't know if this is a supervisor for the Metro Enforcement Agency, but he was someone who was higher up on the chain I guess the higher up on the food chain or whatever the proper nomenclature is. He was higher up, had a higher pay bracket of some of the other Metro Enforcement officers. He came, he spoke to us, he gave us a map. In that map, there was a permit for City Market, which was the usual area that they have. Don't listen to this bullshit that they talking about with this footprint being for COVID and footprint being for all of these other things. COVID was worse last year than it is this year, and they didn't have it spread out as they have it last year. So if they have it spread out this year for COVID, did they have it closer in last year for COVID too, to try to get more people to be contracted of COVID? So those don't listen to that. That's BS. So the second we go to the we get the paper that has the permit area. We abide by that permit area for the next 4 to 5 weeks. We do not go inside of the area that is marked to be an permit. We walk on the crosswalk week in and week out. No food vendors are assaulted. Nobody is robbed. No food trucks are burnt down. City Market is still left standing at the end of all the Fridays. Some of the times the police department even sent officers out to block the street off. So this was the tenor of the protest that took place at City Market last year. Again, City Market takes place next to 2 parks. Don't listen to this BS that they saying about trying to have more sporting events in the parks, and that's why the Rockford Park District is more involved. The Rockford Park District is more involved because Theo Glover, who is the chief of the Rockford Park District Park Police or whatever, he was out there like Bull Connor with a megaphone last year, calling unlawful assemblies, allowing Winnebago County Sheriff deputies and Rockford police officers and Rockford Park police officers to violate people's constitutional rights, to violate people's rights to freedom of speech, to violate people's rights to freedom of assembly. So they're not having the park be involved this year because they want more people to play activities in the park. They're having the park be involved this year because the park police is just as much in cahoots with the Rockford Police Department as the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies are in cahoots with the Rockford Police Department. And they're trying to block off that park to, again, limit the ability that people have for freedom of speech. That is it. Those are the only reasons. This footprint for COVID is BS, because if that was true, then at the beginning of last year, they would have had that same area shut off, or that same amount of area involved in the permit, because COVID was 100 times worse last year than it is this year. There was no vaccine last year like it is this year. So again, the likelihood that you will contract COVID from City Market this year is 100% less likely than you would have last year. So why would now it be a bigger area that need to be taken up? So again, that's those forms of propaganda that's being put out there. And so after those 4 or 5 weeks of us protesting, eventually they shut down the City Market for 1 week. After they shut it down for that 1 week, they falsely arrested 14 people for walking on a crosswalk on City Market. Charged people with ludicrous crimes. In the midst of arresting people, they assaulted multiple people, battered multiple people. The people dealt with inhumane treatment inside of the Winnebago County Jail. Inhumane treatment that then the sheriff, Caruana, would deny took place. And then week in and week out after that, the Rockford Police Department, Winnebago County Sheriff deputies, Rockford Park District, Metro Enforcement Agency, all violated people's human rights, violated people's constitutional rights, violated people's rights to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble on a regular basis by assaulting people, by pepper spraying people, using chemical weaponry on people, falsely arresting people. All of these things were done for two reasons: to try to continue having to continue the economic gain of City Market. Because, like I told you at the very onset of this conversation, it was very apparent that Kathy McDermott, the person in charge of City Market, puts profit over people, based on the fact that when she have a conversation, the first conversation we had was only about profit and not about people at all. The same thing, excuse me, and then the same thing on second hand. On second hand, the police were being weaponized and mobilized in this manner because because the city of Rockford don't want these issues brought up, because the police department don't want these issues brought up, because they don't want people to understand the extremity and the true gravity and the nature of the situation. They don't want people to understand the fact that to actually truly address the issues that we're talking about means to address the root of what America is. It means to address the root of Rockford. It means to address it means to address, not to only address, but to address and then to adjust and adapt everything that most of these people have ever known to be everyday life or business as usual. And they have no desire to disrupt their everyday life, no desire to disrupt business as usual, how Rockford, when it comes to the institutions that are part of Rockford. And that is what us being at City Market represents. It represents a disruption to business as usual. That's what us being outside of City Hall represents. It represents a disruption to business as usual. And that's what actually addressing police terrorism would represent. It would represent a disruption to business as usual. That's what actually addressing mass incarceration would represent. It would represent a disruption to business as usual. That's what actually addressing racial injustice would represent. It would represent a disruption to business as usual, because business as usual in Rockford, in Illinois, and in the United States of America since its inception has been racial injustice. For the past 100+ years, business as usual in Rockford and in Illinois and in America, in the United States of America, business as usual has been mass incarceration. 100 years, 100 years. The same thing. Police terrorism has been business as usual. And so if these things were being, if the reason that I went to this press conference that they had at City Market, because that's what I initially started this live for. I just wanted to give some background information on what took place last year at City Market. The reason I went to this press conference that they're having at City Market is to remind people that there is an importance in speaking about something. There is an importance in press conferences. There's a reason that everybody around this nation, when COVID started happening, started having press conferences on a daily basis, because it means a hell of when you are in a position, a leadership position, an elected official position, 50 to 75% of what you do is talking, is speaking. 50 to 75% of what you truly will represent is what you talk about and what you speak about, and then also in turn the things you don't talk about and the things you don't speak about. And so they want City Market to be successful, and so they bring the mayor out and have the mayor speak at City Market. And so the mayor brings Todd or whichever one of the people he brought along with them, and they poses a united front with the people in City Market. And so the same thing would be being done if he cared about police terrorism issues. He would have press conferences to address the shooting of these unarmed people. He would have press conferences to address the assault and the beating of these unarmed people, because that would send a message that it was something that bore people paying attention to, because there are some people who will not hear certain things unless people in certain positions speak on them, because just everyday John Doe or Jane Doe can't give a speech about, no matter how good the speech is or how well written it is or how well formulated or well thought out it is, they're not going to have the platform to get the attention when they speak on police terrorism, when they speak on Denzel Duvant being beat, when they speak on Tyrus Jones being shot. They won't have that platform just being an everyday person, no matter how informed they may be or how learned they may be. But as an elected official, as the mayor, he always has that platform. He continuously has that platform. And at any moment, he could begin the type of culture shift that we need to change the mind thought and the mindset of people in this community when it comes to police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice. The moment that he speaks on those things, there will be certain community members who will believe it for the first time because he's spoken on it. There will be certain community members who have not heard about these things being genuinely addressed before, and if he does it, they will be the first time that they hear about them. And that because that is what comes with being the mayor. That is what comes with being an elected official. That is what comes with being in a position of leadership. And it's no different than the things that have taken place here. Every time anything of importance has taken place during. Hi, how you doing? I'm doing all right. It's good seeing you. Have a good day. So it's the same thing with me. Anytime anything of importance has taken place at the occupation or has taken place involving any of the protests or the demonstrations in Rockford, I've spoken. The May 30th Alliance has spoken. Speaking does not solve everything. Speaking does not fix everything. But what speaking does, it acknowledges that that things that are being brought up are that the things that are being brought up have substance. That's what it does. It's again, when you are in certain positions, especially a position like a mayor of a city or an alderman, the positions in which you have a platform, you have just inherently as an alderman there is a platform. Inherently as the mayor there is a platform. Inherently as a president of the Chamber of Commerce, whatever it is, inherently as some of these things, Rockford Township, Mustafa, that you have a platform. And when you choose to not address things that are real issues that have been, that are not only just real issues nationwide, but are real issues locally, specifically here, and that are manifesting not a year ago or 2 years ago, but weeks ago and months ago, when you choose to not acknowledge those things, you take away the credence that the people who are acknowledging them have. You take away the substance that the people who are acknowledging them have. When people don't hear the mayor speak about people being shot while being unarmed, they think it'll be a portion of people who justify it. It will be a portion of people, and when the mayor doesn't speak about people being beat in the streets while unarmed or being beat in the streets while handcuffed, there will be a portion of people who will never hear about it. It doesn't matter. And again, this is why when we initially came out here, our initial, as the May 30th Alliance, our initial demands was for the mayor to have a press conference, in the press conference for him to address the ongoing police terrorism that had taken place over the spring and the summer, for him to address the shooting of Tyrus Jones, an unarmed black man. And instead of doing those things, he chose to put out a Facebook post. And then when Denzel Duvant was like, and then when the shooting was justified, instead of having a press conference, he put out a Facebook post. But when the mass shooting took place at Don Carter, he had a press conference because that was that was something that mattered to him, because he believed that was something that mattered to his constituents or to his voting base. But he does not believe that what happened to Tyrus Jones matters. He does not believe that matters to his constituents or to his voting base. So he did not have a press conference to address those things. He sent out a Facebook post. Similarly to when Denzel Duvant was assaulted and beat like this, there was no press conference for him. There was none of those. Oh, damn, thank you. Hi. Thank you. There was no press conference or anything like that when Denzel Duvant was beat. And Denzel Duvant was beat like that, and this was not something that had the same amount of attention as a shooting had, because there was no activating of the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force. So you can see that picture. I don't know if you can see it. There was no triggering of the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force because there was not a shooting, and Denzel Duvant did not die. And so just the lack of the task force taking place, which would mean press conferences would happen, meant that a bunch of people didn't even know that Denzel Duvant was beat like that. And for anybody who maybe are just unaware of it, you will never be able to get justice from a power structure if they know that the injustices are being done and no one knows about them. They're not incentivized to give you justice if nobody knows about the injustice. What up, boy? You being good out here? You being safe? All right, that worked too. How your shorty doing? What'd you say? Me? Yeah. Yep. It be somebody here though. Somebody down there in the car though. It's always another person here. Okay. I see you. Be, that's what's up, nigga. Be safe, love, bro. I love you. And so again, I just want to again try to trace this back. That so you there is there's importance in speaking about something. So that is an active choice to not speak about it. So, anyways, let me just get to the city market press conference a little bit more. Then I'm gonna wrap this up. I just wanted to speak on. I want to make sure anytime I'm doing an action or we're doing an action that we speak on it before and afterwards as often as possible and as much as possible to try to get rid of any misconceptions or misinformation. And so I'm sitting here after I did a few lives earlier today, and I see that they're having a press conference down at City Market. I'm knowing that the press conference is about the upcoming City Market season. So I grab my stuff and we at City Hall. City Market just up the street. So I grab my stuff and I head down to City Market. I grab a sign of Denzel Duvant and I stand in front of the area in which they're having their press conference, and I hold the sign of Denzel Duvant, and I make sure I make my voice be heard. I lift my voice and make sure that my voice is heard. And the same thing, this is what has going on and what is going on. What up, man? This is what has going on and what is going on is when something is effective and something works, they try to criminalize it. And so on Monday, since we knocked on the windows to try to get attention, so that way, because again, this is how this works. And I don't know how many people are aware of protesting or thought about protesting. It makes no sense to try to protest if you are not going to try to make sure you are get attention. That is the point. You're trying to raise awareness. So if you are being ignored or you can be ignored in the protest, it is not a successful protest. And so we're not going to stand outside of a building in which there are people inside the building that can't hear us and just hold the sign. That makes no sense. It's easy to look away from the sign, to not look and see the sign. It's difficult to not when you hear people knocking on the window with the signs. Ain't nobody knocking on the window to break the window. Ain't nobody kicking the window or punching the window. People are knocking on the window. The fact that you have a mayor who is willing to press charges for somebody knocking on the window says way less about the people doing the knocking on the window and says more about the person weaponizing the police, more about the person trying to usher people in and out of the corrupt mass incarceration system in this city and in this county and in this country. It says something about him. What up? It says something about him. It don't say nothing about it says nothing about the person knocking on the window. Again, none of the windows were broken at City Hall. Ain't no shattered windows at City Hall. We have a no contact order with City Hall. Nobody was walking into the parking lot or walking inside the building. Again, these things are not being done because actions. Again, because I don't know, maybe they might put an arrest warrant out on me for what I did down there at City Market just shortly, because based on what they did, it says no different than what I did at City Hall. No different at all. Because again, I'm not doing anything illegal. It is not illegal to hold a sign and to knock on a window and to yell, "What about Denzel Duvant?" Or to yell, "What about having a press conference for Tyrus Jones who was shot?" Or having a press conference for Jose Gonzalez Jr. that was shot. And again, it's not this charge of disorderly conduct. It's not the conduct that they have an issue with. It's the content of what I'm saying that they have an issue with. It is not the conduct of the May 30th Alliance that they truly have an issue with. It's the content of the May 30th Alliance that they truly have an issue with. And they try to disguise it with this disorderly conduct and with this criminalization. And that only works when somebody is in fear of being arrested, or only works when somebody is in fear of being criminalized or being stigmatized. And as a black man, living my life as a black man, it's been a bunch of times when I was stigmatized for things that I didn't do because of the color of my skin, or criminalized for things I didn't do because of the color of my skin, or misunderstood because of the color of my skin. So the idea that could be used as a weapon against me later on is preposterous. The idea that because of my language, certain people won't agree with me or certain people won't listen to me or won't hear me out, I'm okay with that because I've grown up knowing that because of my skin color, certain people won't be able to listen, won't listen to me or won't hear me out or will be misinformed about me. And I've grown to understand that the people who allow things like that to deter them from the overall purpose of things or deter them from the overall validity of a person's character or the validity of what somebody is speaking about, those people don't truly want to be enlightened. Those people don't truly want to be informed. There's plenty of things that Martin Luther King Jr. Says that I don't necessarily agree with 100%, but it does not do one bit of inhibiting me understanding the message and understanding the purpose. It's things that Malcolm X said that I don't 100% agree with, but it does nothing from the limiting or inhibiting me understand the overall purpose or the overall goal or objectives that he was trying to speak about or the overall ideology that he had. Because I understand that we all have our different we're all different people. We all have our different emotions and our different language and our different environments and upbringings. And so it's for me, again, it's how I can understand that certain people have an issue with maybe someone yelling or someone knocking on the window and someone, what's up, brother? Someone disturbing a press conference or disturbing the city council meeting. I can understand someone having an issue with it, but in the midst of understanding that, I also understand that means that the protest was successful. People have to feel something. We don't fail when people, if it's 100%, if it's, let's say it's a percentage of people that's witnesses to a demonstration, we don't fail if 100% of those people all feel something, and maybe 20% of the people agree and 80% of the people disagree, but 100% of them are polarized and feel something. 100% of them go on and have conversations and speak about these things. That is not a failure. That's a success. Again, because we are trying to raise awareness when people don't know. We are trying to start conversations with people about things that are being things that are not being spoken about. So you don't fail because the conversation does not steer in the manner in which you like it. You fail when the conversation does not begin. So again, with that same analogy or that same example, if we had a demonstration and it was witnesses and maybe 50% of the witnesses felt something and all 50% of them agreed with us, but the other 50% of the people felt nothing at all. They're not going to go talk about it. They're not going to tell nobody that it happened. They're not going to document it happened. They're going to forget it happening. To me, that's the failure. To me, that is the failure because nine times out of 10, because I don't want to, I don't know 9 times out of 10, but I would say a nice amount of the times, the people who agree with the tactics are people who already understand the message, people who agree with the message, people that have, maybe they might not be 100% informed, but they're either experienced or slightly informed enough in the message. Usually the people who disagree, the people who don't like it, those are the people that you are trying to get this across to. Those are the people that you are trying to disrupt. Those are the people whose attention you are trying to get. And then what they do with the information, I tell the people this all the time, what they do with that information, or what they do with that, damn, somebody going the wrong way down the one way. Wow, that's nuts. That happens too often. But again, what they do with that information is secondary to me, especially because I believe that sometimes, for example, sometimes to make sure somebody's child is not racist, or somebody's friend or nephew isn't racist, or doesn't buy in or engage into racist ideology or racist thinking, you need to force the person that they're next to who engages in that type of thought pattern to speak about it and to bring it out, and to force that other person to challenge them, to force that other person to figure out, to force the uncomfortability. All the time people drive by here and see the sign of Denzel Duvant. It might be 4 people in the car, and 2 people might think he should have got his ass beat, and 2 people might think that understand that the police are power hungry, bloodthirsty workers of violence. What is not important is that, to me, what's important is not that 2 of them agree. To me, what is important is that somehow a conversation is started within that car. Whether it is the 2 people who disagree starting the conversation by saying something that is racist, or saying something that is in, you know, something that is pro police violence, or if it's the two people in the car saying something that is anti-police violence and that is anti-racist, and that's starting the conversation. But I 100% believe that the issue in Rockford is that not enough conversations are taking place. And so I hope that everybody who was just inside that press conference has to go out and have conversations about what happened at that press conference. I hope that anybody who was watching the press conference from home or from work or whatever on their phone, I hope that I could be heard on everybody else's live stream, and I hope that forced conversations because the reason that they are not having press conferences speaking about these things is because they don't want people having conversations about these things, because Tom McNamara does not want conversations to take place about his Ku Klux Klan police department. He does not want conversations to take place about the system of mass incarceration, which is has a heavy hand in Winnebago County and in Rockford, Illinois. He does not want to have true conversations about racial injustice and racial equity. They want to have tokenism conversations, and we are past that. They want to have pandering conversations, and we're past that. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to be no role model. I'm not trying to be a politician or an elected official. I'm 100% fine with me not being the person or the individual or us not being the organization that causes the change to happen or that is there at the precipice of the change. But what we have been and what we will continue to be is the catalyst and the spark. And what I will continue to be is the catalyst and the spark. And I don't know, I don't know how many lives or days or protests or demonstrations have to be done for that spark to create a fire in the next generation of people, or create a fire in separate people. But the thing I do know is that we will find out how many it has to be because I'll keep doing it until that happens. We will keep demonstrating and protesting in any manner that we can, at any level in which we can, until those things happen, until that thing happens. And all right, so I done did enough. I'm supposed to be doing a video on Instagram and on Twitter today. So been doing a lot of talking. I think that's gonna be one of the common traits of this spring and this summer, it seems like. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. All right, we outside.